Just how enormous is the United States military when stacked up against other global powers? To really grasp its scale, we need to start with the basics: people, money, and reach. On paper, the U.S. has around 1.3 million active duty service members, which places it roughly third or fourth worldwide in terms of manpower. China and India naturally occupy the top two positions, largely due to their massive populations. Russia's active duty numbers are similar to those of the U.S., though its figures have fluctuated significantly in recent years as geopolitical tensions and military reforms reshaped its force structure. What makes the U.S. stand out isn't raw manpower, it's the ratio. With a population of about 336 million, the U.S. maintains a far higher percentage of its population in active military service than China or India, both of which have populations exceeding 1.4 billion. This imbalance highlights how intensely militarized the United States is relative to its size. While these figures shift slightly year to year, the broader pattern has remained stable for more than a decade. Where the scale of the U.S. military becomes truly staggering is in spending. The United States accounts for roughly 40% of total global military expenditure, meaning nearly 2/5 of all defense spending worldwide comes from a single country. In dollar terms, the U.S. spends more on defense than the next several countries combined, including China, Russia, India, the United Kingdom, and Saudi Arabia. Even when accounting for differences in purchasing power, U.S. military investment remains unmatched. Despite a defense budget hovering around $900 billion, military spending represents only about 3.4% of U.S. GDP, placing it outside the top 5 globally by percentage. Historically, however, that number has been much higher. During the Vietnam War, defense spending approached 10% of GDP, and during the Korean War, it peaked near 14%. Today, the U.S. spends more in absolute terms than ever before, but far less proportionally than during past conflicts, evidence of how dramatically the American economy has grown alongside its global influence. So where does all that money go? The answer lies in the structure of the U.S. Armed Forces, which consist of 6 branches: the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Space Force, the last of which is the newest addition. Each branch plays a specialized role, but together they form a military capable of operating on land, sea, air, cyberspace, and even outer space. The U.S. Army is the largest land-based component, with roughly 450,000 active duty soldiers. When combined with the Army National Guard and Army Reserve, the Army's total manpower exceeds 950,000 personnel. Its mission is straightforward but demanding: achieve and maintain dominance on land anywhere in the world. That mission is supported by one of the most extensive armored fleets on Earth, including thousands of M1 Abrams main battle tanks. These tanks, continuously upgraded since their debut in the early 1990s, remain among the most capable armored vehicles in service today. Supporting the Abrams are thousands of infantry fighting vehicles like the Bradley, along with Stryker armored vehicles designed for flexibility and rapid deployment. These platforms give U.S. ground forces a unique ability to adapt to different combat scenarios, from high-intensity warfare to peacekeeping and reconnaissance missions. The Army also maintains enormous stocks of transport vehicles, armored personnel carriers, and mine-resistant vehicles, giving it unmatched logistical depth. Air dominance is largely the responsibility of the U.S. Air Force, which operates around 5,000 aircraft and employs more than 300,000 active duty personnel. Its fleet includes hundreds of fighter jets, bombers, transport planes, and surveillance aircraft. Fighters like the F-22 and F-35 give the U.S. a decisive technological edge, combining stealth, sensor fusion, and long-range strike capabilities that few nations can rival. Beyond combat aircraft, the Air Force's transport fleet allows the U.S. to move troops and equipment across continents in a matter of hours. When combined with the helicopter fleets of other branches, the U.S. military fields more rotary-wing aircraft than any other country by a wide margin, enabling rapid response and battlefield mobility on a global scale. At sea, the U.S. Navy serves as the backbone of American power projection. With nearly 335,000 active sailors, it operates the largest navy in the world by tonnage. The most visible symbol of that dominance is its fleet of 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. each capable of launching dozens of aircraft and sustaining combat operations for months at a time. No other nation comes close. Most operate one or two carriers at most. These carriers are supported by destroyers, submarines, and amphibious ships that allow the Navy to operate in every major ocean. Advanced carrier classes like the Gerald R. Ford introduce new technologies designed to increase efficiency, reduce crew requirements, and generate more combat sorties per day than earlier designs. Together, these capabilities allow the U.S. Navy to control sea lanes, support allies, and project force far beyond its own shores. The Marine Corps, though smaller in size, with about 180,000 active personnel, fills a critical niche. Marines specialize in rapid expeditionary operations, particularly in coastal and island environments. In recent years, the Corps has undergone major restructuring to prepare for future conflicts, especially in the Indo-Pacific region. This shift emphasizes mobility, missile systems, and area denial strategies rather than traditional heavy armor. Finally, there is the U.S. Space Force, established in 2019 to protect American interests in orbit. While it is the smallest branch, with fewer than 10,000 active members, its responsibilities are enormous. The U.S. operates hundreds of military satellites that provide communication, navigation, intelligence, and early warning capabilities. Protecting these assets has become essential as space increasingly becomes a contested domain. Despite its overwhelming advantages, the U.S. military faces challenges, particularly in recruitment. Fewer young Americans are choosing to enlist, and the force has missed recruitment targets in recent years. However, rather than signaling decline, this trend is pushing the military toward greater automation, advanced technology, and more efficient force structures. Looking ahead, the future of the U.S. military is likely to rely less on sheer numbers and more on technological superiority, strong alliances, and global reach. With partners across NATO and the Indo-Pacific, the United States doesn't need to dominate alone. It only needs to stay one step ahead. And for now, it still does. So what comes next? Will technology widen the gap even further, or will rivals eventually close it? That question may define global security for decades to come.